There is a number you have seen roughly 1,000,000 times. It is on the gas station sign you passed this morning. It is on the box of pasta in your cupboard. It is on the tag of the jacket you almost bought last week, the one from the brand that swears it is a luxury brand. The number is 0.99. And here is the thing. Nobody can agree on what it actually does. One story says this is a proven psychological trick. That the 0.99 is a silent tax on your brain, a glitch in human cognition that has been siphoning billions of dollars out of wallets every year for over a century. That you are, right now, being quietly manipulated by a single cent. The other story says the opposite. That the whole thing is an accident of history, a dusty, mechanical habit from the 1800s that got fossilized into retail culture. That it doesn't work anymore, that it might actually be costing retailers money, and the only reason nobody drops it is pure institutional terror. Both stories cannot be true. But here is what is strange. If it is just a habit, a dead ritual that no longer does anything, then why has no major retailer successfully abandoned it? Why, when one of the largest department stores in America tried to kill the 0.99 and replace it with honest, round numbers, did customers rebel so violently that the company nearly went under? And if it is a trick, what is the mechanism? What is actually happening inside your brain when you see that 9 at the end of a price tag? We are going to answer this. We are going to look at evidence from brain scans. At 19th century newspaper circulation wars, at a failed experiment by a company that lost $1 billion in market value, betting that you were smarter than a penny. The story you hear most often is that it started as a psychological trick. A marketing man in a boardroom, sometime in the 1950s, deciding that $9.99 just feels cheaper than $10. That story is wrong. In 1879, James Ritty patented Ritty's incorruptible cashier. He owned a restaurant on the Erie Canal and was losing money to his own employees pocketing cash. He built a machine that witnessed every transaction. When a customer paid, the clerk punched the amount and opened the drawer to make change. That action stamped a sequential transaction number. A ring meant a sale. No ring meant the money didn't go in the drawer. If you charge a round dollar, the clerk doesn't need to open the drawer. The coin goes straight into the apron. No ring, no record. But if the price is 99 cents, the customer hands over $1 and the clerk must open the drawer to get the penny. The drawer opens. The bell rings. The transaction is stamped. The theft proofing is the penny. The 0.99 ending is a trapdoor, forcing a dishonest employee to create evidence. By 1884, John H. Patterson bought the company, renamed it National Cash Register, and put his machines into every shop. The price tags followed. Then, a second coincidence. In the 1880s, Melville E. Stone started the Chicago Daily News and priced it at 1 cent. Circulation exploded, but it created a physical shortage of pennies across Chicago. Store owners could not reliably make change for a round dollar, so they started pricing items at 99 cents to avoid running out of pennies, to keep the single cent flowing back from the customer into their own tills. The price wasn't a lure, it was a reserve currency strategy. 1880s. And for decades, that's all it was. A mechanical trick to force a transaction. Nobody was thinking about psychology. Nobody was running split tests on human cognition. They were just trying to stop teenagers from pocketing the till. Here's the thing. They had accidentally built a trap, and it took 100 years for anyone to figure out what it was actually trapping. Let me show you the mechanism. It's called the left digit effect, and it's not a theory. It's a measurable glitch in how your brain encodes numbers. When you see a price, your brain doesn't read it like a calculator. It reads it like a snapshot. Milliseconds matter. The visual system is optimized for speed, not precision. So it grabs the most significant digit first, the leftmost one,
and starts building a rough magnitude estimate before it even finishes parsing the rest of the number. $4.99 gets anchored as 4 something. The something comes later. The anchor is already set. It's called analog representation.
Your brain maps numbers onto a mental number line, and that line is logarithmic, not linear. The distance between 1 and 2 feels enormous. The distance between 99 and 100 feels like a rounding error. So $2.99 doesn't sit anywhere near $3 on that line. It sits down near $2. The brain just files it into the wrong bucket. This isn't vibes. Manoj Thomas and Vicky Morwitz named this effect in 2005 in the Journal of Consumer Research in a paper called Penny Wise and Pound Foolish. Across 5 experiments, they had people judge how big a price felt. And the pattern held. A price like $2.99 was judged as meaningfully smaller than $3, but only when that leftmost digit changed. Drop from $3.59 to $3.58 and nothing happens. Drop from $3 to $2.99 and the whole price collapses in your head. 1 cent. Same money, completely different number. The left digit had reached in and dragged the whole number down with it. And the distortion isn't small. The effect is largest when the leftmost digit changes, $3 to $2.99. That 1 cent drop crosses a psychological boundary. It doesn't feel like a discount. It feels like a different category. The brain reads $2.99 and files it under $2 and change. It reads $3 and files it under $3. The register was invented to catch thieves. The newspaper was trying to move pennies. And the result, completely by accident, was a price that exploits a fundamental property of how the brain builds reality. The cents don't matter. The boundary does. But here's what the brain scan studies won't tell you. That same mechanism has a dark pattern, and it fails on a very specific kind of purchase. The kind where the round number is the one that works better. In 2024, the Journal of Consumer Psychology published a meta-analysis. Not one study, but a sweep of the whole body of research on just below versus round prices. And it found a split. Ending a price in 0.99 does make it feel cheaper. It also makes the product feel worse, cheaper and lower quality at the same time, which is fine if you're selling paper towels. It is a problem if you're selling wine. The mechanism flips entirely when the purchase is emotional. Here's why. The left digit effect works on system 1 thinking. Fast, automatic, cheap. You see a price, your brain anchors on the 4, and you file the product under roughly $40 before the cents even register. But when you're buying something experiential, something tied to identity, a gift, a bottle of wine for a dinner party, you switch into system 2, slower, more deliberate. And in that mode, the 0.99 ending reads as a signal. Not of savings, of inferiority. A round number says this item was priced intentionally. Someone thought about it. It's complete. It signals fluency. The psychology literature calls it processing fluency. When a number feels right, it makes the product feel right. And 0.99 is the opposite of fluent. It's jagged. It's a negotiation. Now, look at what happened at JCPenney, 2012. CEO Ron Johnson, fresh off designing the Apple Store, he walks in and decides 99 pricing is dishonest. It's manipulative. So he kills it. He introduces fair and square pricing. Everything gets rounded to the nearest dollar. No more $9.99. Just $10. Clean, transparent, respectful of the customer. It was a disaster. Revenue dropped 25% in a single quarter. Same-store sales collapsed. Johnson was out in 17 months. But here's the detail that gets misreported. The failure wasn't because 0.99 is some universal brain hack that works on everyone. It failed because JCPenney's core customer was a discount shopper. The .99 ending was a signal she relied on. It said, "This item has been marked down." It said, "You are getting a deal." When Johnson removed the signal, she no longer knew what was on sale and what wasn't. The signal went dark, and in the absence of a signal, she assumed the worst. She assumed nothing was on sale. She walked. The irony is that Johnson's instinct was partly correct for certain products, for certain customers. For certain contexts, the $40 bottle of wine does taste better than the $39.99 one. Not physically, but perceptually. And perception is the only thing that matters before the cork is pulled. So the left digit effect has a shadow, a category where it flips. When the purchase matters enough that you're paying real attention, the odd number doesn't read as savings. It reads as cheap. The human brain is no longer the only brain reading a price tag. In the algorithm era, a 99-cent ending has a second, quieter function. It's a signal. A flag. Metadata readable by bots and by shoppers who reverse engineer a retailer's internal logic. A price ending in .99 is a non-negotiated mass market default, the rack rate. In an Amazon marketplace where algorithms reprice millions of items per hour, the .99 ending is the handshake, the "I'm not thinking about you specifically" price. Contrast that with the codes. Walk through Walmart and you'll see prices ending in .97. That's an internal memo made visible. The item has been marked down from its original retail price and is now in clearance. No further negotiation. Costco uses .97 for the same thing. A manager has personally decided this thing needs to move. Then there's .88. At Walmart, that's a manager's markdown, a local decision to clear a shelf, often a one-off, often an item not coming back. And .00? Round numbers at Costco signal a manufacturer markdown, a deal Costco's supplier funded. The price endings are a taxonomy, a language spoken between the retailer and the person paying enough attention to be bilingual. So the .99 isn't just a trick on the shopper. It's a signal to the shopper who knows the code. It says, "This is the baseline. No fire sale here. Move along." But there's another layer. In digital menus, especially on subscription and SaaS pricing pages, the .99 has been weaponized as a structural element, not just a numerical one. It's the anchor in the decoy effect. A streaming service shows you 3 plans: basic at $9.99, standard at $15.99, premium at $19.99. The middle option, standard, is the one they want you to buy. It's the highest margin tier. The premium plan's purpose isn't really to be purchased. It's to make $15.99 look reasonable by comparison. The .99 across all 3 tiers isn't there for the left digit effect. It's there to make them feel comparable. Same category of thing, just different sizes. The consistency of the .99 is what makes the decoy invisible. A/B testing data from multiple subscription platforms shows the same pattern. When the decoy tier is priced with a whole number, it feels like a different category of product. When it's dressed in the same .99 as the target tier, the comparison feels natural. It works. The algorithm reads the .99 as a signal. The shopper reads it as a timestamp on the price's shelf life. The SaaS designer reads it as the glue holding the decoy in place. The left digit effect is real, but the sense signal hypothesis is the part that's actually new. The part that's accelerating. Because once a code is legible, it stops being a trick and starts being a tool. So we're left with a strange artifact, a pricing convention born from a mechanical cash register in 1879 that just happened to align with a glitch in human cognition. The left digit effect is real. The brain does process $4.99 as materially cheaper than $5, but only sometimes, only under the right conditions. That's the actual answer. It's not a master manipulation. It's not a debunked myth. It's a historical accident with a half-life. Think of it as a tool, that works best when you're not paying attention. A grocery run, a gas station, any purchase where the decision is fast and the stakes are low. In those moments, the 99-cent shaves off a fraction of resistance you don't even notice you had. It's not that you're being tricked, it's that you're not being asked to think. And the cent does its work in the silence of that non-decision. But the moment you care, the moment quality matters, or the price becomes a signal instead of a number, the effect doesn't just weaken, it can invert. A $39.99 bottle of wine tastes worse than a $40 bottle, not because the wine is different. Because the .99 told you it might be. JCPenney proved something darker. They didn't fail because .99 is unbeatable psychology. They failed because pricing is a collective agreement. You can't be the only one to stop speaking the language everyone else is speaking, even if the language is irrational. The cost of unilateral honesty was 25% of revenue. That's not a lesson in psychology. That's a lesson in game theory. So the industry can't quit it. Not because it always works, but because it works just often enough, and the penalty for being the first to walk away is existential. But here's the part that's actually more interesting than any of this. The most powerful price ending in modern commerce isn't .99. It's the number you don't see until after you've already committed. The convenience fee, the service charge. The suggested tip that's been silently rounded up by a glowing screen, that's the trick that will outlive the penny. Because it doesn't rely on a digit you can spot from across the aisle. It relies on the fact that by the time you see it, you've already decided to pay. If a single cent can quietly steer your hand away from your wallet, what happens when the price itself is just a suggestion you didn't know you'd already accepted? That's next.